This video provides a brief overview of the available resources for traffic signal mast arm design. To effectively design a mast arm structure, you need to be familiar with the terminology used to describe the structure. For that, you can access the Auxiliary Structures program and the available resources. This is the Auxiliary Structure program website. So if you go to About Web tab, you can learn about all the terminology related to mast arm structures and also other resources available for under workforce development. Looking at Michigan Ancillary Structure Inspection Manual will provide more details about the structure to have a better understanding of the structural configuration as well as its attachments to effectively implement the design at the given site. There are other sources also available like mast arm category 1, 2, 3 installation inspection procedures. So I highly encourage you to look at these resources, be familiar with the correct terminology used to describe the mast arm structure and its attachment or equipment, and the process of installing a given or developed design at a site so that you can do very effective design for a given site. This is the Traffic and Safety Standards and Special Details website. So you can access this website through this link. It has a page called Traffic Signals. If we expand this page, you can access the standard details of many structures, including the mast arms. So this is the expanded view of the traffic signals page. And then it has another tab called statewide special details. So once you click that, you can access all the standard details. So for example, since we are looking at traffic signal mast arm pole and mast arm details, so there are multiple sheets. So two of them says category 1, the other two says category 2 and category 3. So category 1, 2, 3 are the design categories. So depending on the site conditions, you need to select which detail is going to be used. So once you click this link, hyperlink, you can open the PDF version of the details and you can learn about all the standard details about that particular design. For example, if we open up one of those pages, you're going to see detailed mast arm loading elevation view. So it shows the column, mast arm, and also there's uh, steel truss bracket, or lumina and lumina arm. So they have other attachments on the mast arm as well as the column. Also, there are tables. Those tables, like one is the mast arm loading table. So it shows the span length of the mast arm. So we have mast arm from 20 feet going up to 60 feet. And the mast arm height, mounting height, if there are two twin mast arms, so this structure can have two arms, then the mounting height for uh, both arms. And also there are the attachment signals. So their location, their weight, their surface area, and whether they include a sign or not. So likewise, that such details are provided in the standard details. So in addition to the signs, there are additional attachments such as like an antenna, GPS module. So they have all these are listed here with their corresponding weights and the exposed surface areas. So the weights and exposed surface are very important for the design since the wind load is going to be a significant load on these structures. So these sheets also include the standards used for the design as well as the load parameters and other factors considered for the design. They include also the limitations of application of these details. In addition to that, you will see cross sections of the mast arm pole. so cross section of the pole, as well as the mast arm sections. So for certain lengths of the mast arms, we have single sections. Like if we go from 35 feet and longer than that, then there will be two sections spliced at a certain distance from the pole. So these details can be used as long as the conditions used for the development of these details are satisfied. For example, one requirement is to have these poles mounted on the ground. If the pole is not mounted on the ground, then you need to go for a detailed design of the mast arm structure. To minimize the efforts needed for the design of mast arms, the Traffic and Safety or Standards and Special Details website under this traffic signals page provides a spreadsheet. You can access that spreadsheet by selecting the Design Guides page. So once you get the spreadsheet, it provides a very simple approach to check the adequacy of the selected mast arm configuration for a site and whether it's going to be satisfied all the requirements with respect to the standard details. This is a screenshot of that spreadsheet. It has cells with different colors, and the meaning of those colors are described in the instructions page. So the yellow colors represent the input data cells, and the other colors like green, light green, represent the populated data from already embedded details in this spreadsheet. These are details based on the standard details developed for that particular structure. In addition to that, there will be a graphical representation of the equipment attached to the mast arms for visual verification. For example, the location can be defined, and also the signal spot at the intersection can be defined. Then the designer can put initials and the date and select the design category. In this example, it shows design category of 1 and also the mast arm length. So it's 50 feet, and also the direction of the mast arm according to the site orientation. So once you input these numbers, it will automatically select cross section of the mast arm and the mast arm length. So this is inboard and outboard segments. So this detail is taken from the standard details. And then the designer has the options to list all the equipment types. So there's a pull down menu. You can select equipment based on already defined equipment in the spreadsheet and their corresponding distance along the mast arm from the exterior surface of the pole. If there are no equipment listed based on the requirement, then you can assign those equipment types and their respective parameters, weights and exposed surface areas. In order to use the spreadsheet effectively or even to go into detailed design, designer should be familiar with the components, elements, and attachments used on a mast arm structure. So in this slide, I'm going to explain components and elements. So that's why these two terms are underlined. So the mast arm structure include the foundation, vertical structure, and a horizontal structure. So the foundation is a concrete foundation, and also it has anchor bolts and leveling nuts. Vertical structure has a base plate, vertical support or the column, upright member, and vertical structure connections. So there can be different connections to the attachments. So those connections, as well as the connection here between the pole and the foundation. Then the horizontal structure is the mast arm member and mast arm splice connection. So if the mast arm is 35 feet or longer, we need to use two segments, and then those two segments are connected through a splice connection. So we need to know about that connection. Then we have mast arm attachment connection. So these are the attachments we will learn in the next slide. So mast arm attachments are connected to the mast arm member. So those connections need to be accounted. Then we have sometimes lumina and a lumina arm attached to the pole, also arm steel bracket and other attachments mounted to the pole. So in this structure, we don't see a lumina and lumina arm or the bracket. For example, this drawing shows a mast arm without a lumina and lumina arm, but you can have a lumina and lumina arm attached to this top, as shown in this drawing. So we talk about foundation. So there's a concrete foundation and a base plate attached to the pole. So they are connected through the anchor rods, and also there are nuts and leveling nuts and anchor bolts to connect the pole to the concrete foundation. So there are so many different type of attachments. For example, an antenna, lumina and lumina arm, GPS module. Then there are street signs, pole mounted pedestrian signals, radar vehicle detectors, signals. So there are different types of signals. We have like 1W3C signal with backing plate. So this is a backing plate, so it is attached behind the signal. We have W5C doghouse signal with backing plate. So this is a 1W3C signal. It's a with the case sign. It doesn't have a backing plate with the case sign. So some of them may have a backing plate and case sign. So you need to select correct configuration of the signal because it contributes to the weight and the exposed surface area for wind loads.